Shift the way you lead, the way you live. Clarity, courage, change. Because your next level won't wait. This is Monday Mindshift, the clarity you've been craving, the shift you didn't know you needed. Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. Oh, that's much better. Sean Michael here, and I'm excited to be here and share this topic with everyone. I know Leslie just rolled the outro over on Mind Over Matter after a great discussion with Dr. Steve Hudgens about masks and identity, and of course, right up my alley, not my valley. But love what they're sharing. Hey, Chasen, welcome. Happy Monday to you. And let's see, I got a small audience. So feel free to share in the comments where you're watching from, what's on your plans for this week, maybe something fun you did over the weekend, anything. Let me know you're here, say hi, anything like that. That's how I know you're here, and I know how I know who's here. Hopefully I won't. Good morning, Liana, up there in Chile, Minnesota. Don't envy you. That's why I live down way south, because I don't like the cold. Grew up in Northern California, so yeah, not my thing. Did spend about 9 months in Michigan. I thought I was going to die. Anyway, let's see what's going on. Really considering a masterclass. So anything you guys would love to learn in a masterclass that you're not already learning here on Mindshift, or you want to go deeper, Carrie's not here, but I know she asked about the identity disruptor. So I hate to drop this when she's not here, but I also don't want to hold it off, because what if she doesn't come? Kenny, welcome. Glad to have you here. So I'm going to leave this. If Carrie shows up or anybody else shows up, there's always team replay, right? So how did I come up with the title, The Identity Disruptor? What does it really mean? There was a time in my life where I kept hitting the same wall. Didn't matter the project or the season. I kept hitting the same wall, the same ceiling. On the outside, most people wouldn't have called it flavor or failure flavor. I'm looking at the flavor here from about Kenny. It didn't look like failure. I was learning, building, and showing up, talking about leadership, guiding hard conversations, and helping other people spot what was blocking them. But privately, I kept blowing things up. I'd hesitate in the right moment, like that right moment could come, and I'd hesitate when expansion was called for. I would shrink in the rooms where I was more than qualified to stand up tall. And I overthought decisions that up here I already knew the answer. Like most people, I asked the same question, the wrong question, over and over. What strategy am I missing? How do I get more discipline? But that's not it. What I learned is the real issue was who I believed I was allowed to be. There was a version of me that built from old labels, my previous mistakes, the survival identity, as Dr. Steve talked about. I was the responsible one, the person who overcompensated and overprepared so that I didn't get caught off guard. To some it looked like discipline. But that discipline was a cage. And then something uncomfortable started to surface. My experience, it wasn't being shaped. I realized my experience was not being shaped by the circumstances. It was shaped by the meaning that I gave them. And it happened in real time. I learned that I wasn't reacting to reality. It was just my interpretation of it. The problem is the interpretation was running on an old operating system. When that really landed for me, things shifted. I didn't try to force some confidence or, hype yourself up. That didn't work. What I finally saw was that identity is not fixed. It's something I and you construct moment by moment. And anything that's constructed can be reconstructed, can be renovated. And that's when my work really started getting deep. Bill, welcome. Christy, good to see you. And I saw Sharon popped in. Love to have all you guys here. You are appreciated. So and Michael, worked great, Leslie. That's awesome. So as I was saying, my work deepened. I began sitting with leaders who looked successful on paper, but privately they felt stuck. They felt lost. They would say things like, "It's just not who I am," or "I've always been this way." Rather than challenging their goals, I started questioning the sentence underneath with, who decided that? When did that become permanent? Is it truth or just familiarity? One client realized that their anxiety before speaking, it wasn't proof that she wasn't a leader. It was just a surge of thought that passed through her mind. Another saw the weight of being responsible for everyone was not her personality trait. It was a rehearsed story that had been there so long it felt structural. When they learned to stop, Nicole, glad to have you. When they stopped defending those identities, their actions reorganized. It wasn't about a motivational speech. There wasn't some complex plan or strategy. It was a simple insight. And then I understood what I really do. It's not productivity, optimization, or confidence coaching, or even habit installation. What I do is disrupt old identities quietly with no force. I disrupt quiet agreements people have about who they are. Coach Carey, you're walking in. I knew you'd show up. You're going to have to catch the replay, Coach Carey, because I'm almost done with where identity disruptor came from. Because once you see that your sense of self is generated moment by moment from your thoughts, you stop seeing it as cement and you realize it's clay. So that title, Identity Disruptor, it's not clever branding. It's honest. It's what I learned from my own ceilings, my own mislabeling, bad identities, survival identities, and from seeing strategy after strategy after strategy fail until that shifted. A lot of people try to upgrade performance. I want to tell you that the deeper, more powerful move is upgrading your lens, the one that you see yourself through. Because when that changes, Patrick, long time no see, your performance will just follow. So I have a closing question with this. Where are you still defending a version of yourself that was built to survive, but is no longer required to lead? That's the disruption. And it comes from compassion. So thank you for listening. If you didn't catch the whole thing, go back and watch the replay and hear the whole speech on why I go by the title Identity Disruptor, prompted by the comment by Coach Carey. So with that, our topic today is your unfinished business is running your business. I want to look at how unresolved personal patterns show up as strategic challenges for us. So as I said in my speech about identity disruptor, when things aren't working, we think there's a strategy problem. But what I want to introduce is a lot of that time, it's actually a pattern problem. There's revenue stalls, team friction, decision fatigue, partnerships breaking down repeatedly. It looks like operational issues. But underneath, it usually is very personal. Because what you haven't resolved internally will eventually show up structurally. So strategy, we all know about strategy, right? Strategy for this, strategy for that. Strategy is planning. Patterns, they're in our identity, which means you can upgrade your systems, refine your offer, hire better people. But if that same tension keeps showing up, might look different, but underneath it's the same tension. This isn't coincidence. That's your unfinished business. So here's the question for you to sit with. What issue keeps repeating in your business or in your life under different names? All right. So, step 2, the diagnostic. So we looked at what it is, what's the cause, right? How do we know what's going on? Our personal patterns wear disguises. Unfinished business, it doesn't usually show up as emotional breakdown or something. It usually looks like, I just need better talent. The market's not ready. I need to optimize more. Other people don't execute like I do. But when we look closer, control issues show up as micromanagement. Our fear of rejection, over delivery. Avoidance of conflict, unclear expectations. Needing approval shows up as undervaluing or underpricing yourself or your work. The pattern isn't in the spreadsheets. It's not in the KPIs. It's in your nervous system. Business just amplifies who we are under pressure. So why? Where does it come from? Dr. KD, I see a doctor. I see people talking to Dr. KD, but I'm not sure. Oh, Dr. KD. Never mind, just figured it out. Dr. KD, Kenneth Dunner. This unfinished business, it's not weakness. It's adaptation that you haven't resolved. In your early years, you might have learned, or some point in your life, that if I don't control it, it will fall apart. If I don't prove myself, I'll be overlooked. If I don't keep the peace, there goes connection. At one time and one place, those rules made sense. But today, those are shaping decisions that look strategic, but really aren't. It's not that you're mismanaging your business or your career or your life. What's happening is you're just reenacting old survival strategies. I want everyone to notice something subtle in their life and business. That stress that you sometimes feel, it's not coming from the situation. It's coming from the meanings you're assigning it in your mind. You miss a target, turns into, I'm failing. You get some pushback, you think, I'm losing authority. Silence, oh, silence, equals I'm not respected. And our body reacts to the story, not the events. But when our thinking settles, you can see more clearly. And when we see more clearly, the strategy problem often simplifies. Because clarity can change your decisions faster than any amount of force. So that brings me to our first practice, the pattern audit. Think of a current business frustration and ask yourself this simple question. Is it truly a capability gap, or is it just a reaction? Think about it. What emotion shows up most often in that situation? Is it control? Is it fear? Is it resentment? Is it proving? If you notice that same emotional tone keeps showing up in all different arenas, that's a clue. And happy Monday, Lisa. All right. My favorite practice, and I know some of you like this practice as well, the two chairs dialogue. So I want you to either imagine or place two chairs facing each other. On one side is going to be the protector part of you. The other side will be the operator. The protector wants your safety. By the name, right? It's there to protect you. Your protector might use phrases like, if I don't control this, if I'm not the best, if I said what I really think, if they see I'm unsure. You can use those, you can use your own. But what I want you to look at as the protector part of you speaks, what is it protecting? All right, in the second seat, from the operator, this is your strategic part, who operates from strategy instead of reaction. And that part can ask questions like, what's actually required here? What's the clean decision in this? What assumptions am I adding? Without that old story, what would I choose? And let them speak. Let the two speak. Your protector, your operator. The protector might say, if we don't react, we'll lose ground. And the operator says, reaction's not strategy. Here's a few things I'd like you to write down. If you want to get the breakthrough here, to get the deeper insight, definitely recommend this. Get your notepad out, write this out, put a voice note to yourself, whatever it takes. The business problem I've been naming is, and the personal pattern underneath might be. All right, let me repeat that. The business problem I've been naming is, and the problem and the personal pattern underneath might be. And I'm putting this in the chat. And speaking of the chat, I'm going to go over there. So thank you very much for your kind words, Sharon and others. Glad to see everybody here. I want to hear more about this, Patrick, what you're saying here. If you don't waver from the mission, I think there's a challenge here with what I'm talking about, because even a driving mission, if that unfinished business isn't finished, the mission will limit you. I think it's the other way around, Leslie. The protector is the subconscious side that's keeping you from stepping up to your next level because it thinks it's protecting you. And I always feel like a lot of times the protector is operating from the subconscious. You can correct me from your perspective, because I'm okay with that. But the way I see it is a lot of times we have these subconscious beliefs and versions of ourselves that are stopping us from stepping up because they're misguided, we'll say. The protector is the fears and the reactive expressions, though. The operator is the one who is aware and knows what needs to be done, but the protector stops us from doing it. That's the way I see it. All right. Whoops. Let me hide that. All right. So the business problem I've been naming is, and the personal pattern underneath might be. And ask yourself this question. What decision becomes obvious if I stop protecting an old identity? We can't scale past old patterns, right? We have to resolve them. Those old patterns, those old identities are like our thermostat. I think I talked about this before. As the temperature falls, the heat kicks in and brings it back to the set point. If the temperature rises, in other words, we're trying to step up to our next level, and it hits the threshold, the AC kicks in, brings it right back down to the set point. It's the same with the identity we are operating in. Wherever that set point is, if we start to slip away from it, actions will kick in to bring us back eventually. You know, if you've ever been in one of those old houses with a really old thermostat, it can take a long time for everything to kick in. Newer systems, AC kicks, or the heat kicks in quickly and brings it up to temperature. The same thing. We start rising, systems kick in, nope, bring it back to set point. And we can't scale past that until we resolve the underlying patterns. Our business doesn't just reflect our strengths. It reflects our unfinished business. And it's not shameful, it's leverage. Because once we realize that, once we see the patterns and we're not inside it, right? The way I've heard it is we're trying to read the label from inside the jar. You can't do it. You got to get out of the jar. And that's when that strategic clarity comes back, when your personal reactivity falls. Because if we're always operating in reaction, clarity is nowhere to be found. Now, if this surfaced something for you, maybe it felt uncomfortably precise or accurate, don't file it away as just a good insight. Oh, that was thoughtful. I offer identity clarity calls so we can work together and separate your operational challenge from the identity patterns so that you can design decisions from clean and clear internal pattern or internal position. So if you're ready to lead and leave those old strategies behind, book the call. Just send me a message. We'll get you on the schedule. No cost. I'm happy to have a chat. All right. Oh, I want to put that in this quote. All right, drop that in there. And the invite link, if somebody would love to, I'd love to hear from you guys. If you're willing, same rule as always, camera optional. And I promise I'll pay better attention because last week Martha was sitting in the studio as I was winding out. All right. Any good? Let's see. Let me go back. Good morning. Lots of communication going on between everybody. Did I miss anybody? Leanna, William, Sharon, Chasen, Michael, Nicole, Coach Carey, Patrick, who used to be on my LinkedIn Lives a lot in the old days. Haven't seen him in a long time. Glad to have you back, Patrick. Kenny, Lisa, Leslie. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Questions, comments, I'm open. Challenges. I might just clip that section at the beginning of me detailing how I came up with identity disruptor, just to post that on its own. I see Leslie gets a lot of little clips from her guest teaching. Not sure how she does it. Maybe she'll reveal her secret. I had a system I could do that, but they updated it and I can't do that anymore. Is that Bill? That's Bill.
It is.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I just want to let everybody know that the person that they hear on the stage is the same person that I get behind the scenes. and that your words and the way that you encourage people is so spiritual and guided. And I don't always take your advice, but you're there. And um, I appreciate it. And the reason why I say I don't always take your advice is because we're hard headed.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean your advice isn't fantastic. It means sometimes we need to bump our heads sometime and go, you know what, Sean told me not to do that. Um, but as a person, as a human, I appreciate you so much and what you bring to the table if people take time to actually listen instead of, let's say, fraternizing. Um, they'll learn a host of stuff.
Question, Bill. I
Yep.
heard I heard fraternizing. Do you mean did I mishear it? Did you mean patronizing?
No, I think sometimes we get so excited to be on the shows that we start talking amongst ourselves
Oh,
and
yeah, fraternizing. Okay.
fraternizing. Yeah, we start talking amongst ourselves. And what I've tried to start doing is saying good morning to everybody and then dialing in on the person that is actually hosting the show. And I found that when I started doing that, I was learning more than when I was having side conversations in the chat.
Well, and I
And I think
find
both are healthy.
yeah, I was going to say there's a good balance of, connecting with people because in this community, right? We all bump into each other in different places, whether it's your show or Leslie's show or Coach Carey's show. It's like, you know, the cheers thing, right? You go and say hi to all your old friends.
Yeah, and let me reframe it. Um, it I I was doing more chatting than listening. So let's not say everyone else was. I was doing when I initially got involved was doing more chatting, more networking, than literally listening to the message that the host was delivering. And I had to switch that up and recognize that people aren't doing this just because they want to talk into a void. They're doing it because they have a message. And your message for me is consistent, it's clear, and you actually reach out to me behind the scenes and give me things to think about. And, some of it is like, I think I pushed back on you the other day because you were asking me about the news
Hmm.
and telling me to turn it off.
Yeah, you were
And
you were you were putting your butts in my face.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, I was. But you're right. And I need to figure out that right balance. But you were coming and you literally said it. You literally said, I love you and I don't want I can see that it brings out an energy from you just watching the news that um, can be challenging to your soul.
Well, and it's, I don't say that lightly when I say I love you, I care about you, because I do care about people. I'm a massive empath. And it's also lived experience. Like when I cut watching news, I'm not ostrich in the sand,
Right.
but I'm the one driving the bus. And then when I go visit my mother-in-law in the US, and they've got like, they wake up, the TV goes on playing whatever news. It's like one after like all day long. And my son, he's just like, "Oh, daddy, it feels yucky." And I feel yucky because it's just part of the challenge is sometimes the news is more about getting views, kind of like the things we see on social media, right, Bill? It's they're not they're not really speaking from the heart, I'll say.
Right.
They're trying to get you to go this way or change your influence you there and there, and it works for a lot of people. I look at it this way: it's about who's driving the bus. I'm not saying everybody has to cut out the news. I cut it out. I control my consumption. I turned off all my notifications on social media. I go review social media on my schedule, not because my phone goes
Yeah.
ding, because I was there and I stopped and I went, wait, what? I'm like Pavlov's dog or something, responding to every little notification, and most of it is irrelevant for me.
We need to choose what feeds our soul.
Right.
We need to choose what feeds our soul. And for me, I'll just say this for a second. Um, I'm trying to wait. I'm finding that balance. I'm finding that balance. Um, so
Can I just say proud teacher moment?
yeah, I know. I listen. I listen to you, my friend. Um, so I wake up to a spiritual awakening, and I go to sleep to a spiritual awakening. Whether that is so for me to go to sleep, it's normally a frequency. I don't know if you do those or not.
So
Um,
videos?
yeah, like I'll put on YouTube and it'll be a frequency, and um, because I, if I listen, then my mind will stay up. So a frequency helps me to decompress, and then I'll wake up to affirmations, and some are I've written myself, and I just have them on YouTube on private,
Mm-hmm.
or some are just a spiritual, you know, affirmation that I found on YouTube that works for me. And that's how I choose to start my day and end my evening. I
And
think
have,
the day
have you heard of affirmations?
I have not, but I bet you're going to teach us about those.
So a standard affirmation is like, I am loved, I am becoming a better human being, or like, right? Affirmations turn it into a question. Why am I so loved? Why am I growing as a human being? By asking the question, it does two things. It bypasses any resistance. Because sometimes we say an affirmation and your brain's going, or your mind's going, you're right. But affirmations bypass that. They jump right around it. And the other thing is it activates the part of our brain that starts to go find the answers to that question.
That's interesting. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. I usually believe the affirmation. The affirmation to me is just a reminder that I am all of these things.
Right. Well, and there,
I
because there's different kinds of affirmations, right? That the
Yeah.
ones like you said, they're to our soul, they're believable. Maybe not in that moment, but overall they're believable. But sometimes people use these, I'll call them stretch affirmations, like I am wealthy, I am successful, and their
Mm,
inner world's going, really?
but I am. I usually like to say, instead of wealthy, that I'm leading an abundant life, because abundance is love, it's family, it's
People
healing, it's
care. Yeah.
yeah, it's more than just a monetized value, because that could shift and change. But abundance includes all of it. And success is really driven by what we believe success to be individually.
Well, and you're right. Abundance and wealth are much more than
A dollar.
simply the dollars in the bank account or whatever. I was actually having a really great discussion with one of my guests on the show on Daily Power Boost. And he was telling a story about a, a lady that influenced him when he was like 10 years old. It was his school bus driver. And as a
Mm,
10-year-old kid, he's like, he found out like they'd had those conversations on the bus, and he found out she had this, education. She could have been a teacher. And he's 10. He's like, why are you driving the bus and not doing something more with the education you have, the skills? She said, I have everything I want. She's like, I pick up the kids. I'm responsible for the kids to get them safely to the school. She says, in the middle of the day, all of us bus drivers get together. We shoot we have a nice little chat. We play some games, drink our coffee and tea, whatever. It's really wonderful. And then in the afternoon, I pick the kids up, get them safely home. I make about the same money,
right?
but her life is richer because she has the life she wants. She has a purpose in life, right? She knows her purpose in life,
What's your why?
right? What are you on this planet? And then the next episode, the next interview I was just editing before, he says, I believe we all have something great inside us. And the challenge of our lifetime is getting that out,
I believe that.
right? Maybe you're going to write the next great American novel, or create an amazing company, or inspire 100,000 people, or write a romantic comedy, launch this new restaurant. I said, or just raise an emotionally stable young adult.
Yes.
That's one of my whys, is to raise my son without all the damage that I
That
had.
yes, yes, yes. Break those chains. And all of it encompasses who we are. But for some reason, well, I some of us whittle it down into what's in our bank account. And really, it should be what's in our emotional tanks.
What's in our
Because
heart? What's in our
yeah,
heart and soul?
if
Yeah.
if 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 our hearts are full, if our emotional tanks are full, then we are not as damaged by what's in our bank account.
And on the flip
It's when we're
side,
depleted, that in our bank account and emotionally, that the struggle is real.
And Bill, I've sat with founders who never have to work again. Never. They have enough money in the bank.
Yeah.
They never have to work again. And they're on the edge of suicide because it's so empty. They have all the material wealth, but none of the spiritual wealth,
Right.
emotional wealth. And then I've sat with people living in a shack in the jungles of Belize, happy as a pig, and you know what? Struggling to keep food on the table. But they're happy. They've got family, they've got the things they need. So,
Wouldn't you say that's about perspective? It's about how you're looking and which lens you're looking through.
absolutely everything's perspective. And that's kind of what I was alluding to in the teaching today is it's all thought, right? We are not responding to the circumstances or the situation. We're responding to the thoughts about the situation or the circumstance.
One thing I want to leave you with is, I think I said this yesterday. I've gone through some real highs and some real lows,
Mm-hmm.
and I always fall forward. I always fall forward. It's always better than it was
Right.
before.
Yeah. It's always the 10x or the 20x moment, one of my
It,
teachers taught.
but when you're
Whenever there's a
in the
valley,
dust,
oh, yeah, it sucks.
yeah, yeah, and that the and it sucks for a couple of reasons. Not only are you questioning yourself, but you have other people questioning you. And that's when you need to drown out the noise, like I did last week. Turned off my phone, turned off my television. I had a few rage posts that I did, but I needed it. And I did it on my Substack. I didn't do it, you know, publicly where other people can see it. But there were some things from an artistic standpoint that I needed to just release and come back stronger. And this isn't the end. This is not the end of my story. This is a moment in my story, and I keep reminding myself that this moment is so insignificant in the grand scheme of everything else that's happening in my life, or that has happened in my life. So
But
everyone, keep that power going.
in the same way, Bill, our life goes through this, right? And usually we hit a valley. And after we come out of the valley, we get to a higher position than we previously have been.
And possession means spiritual, emotional,
Right. That's why I use
all of it.
position. It's very non specified, right?
Right,
Right. A better human, a better father, a better friend, whatever.
listener. Yeah.
Better listener, a better, better emotions, better thought processes about our situations, our life. But the other thing is we go through cycles every day. Like some days we wake up and everything's wrong.
Yep.
You could put the most beautiful thing in front of us and be like, the color's off or something. And other days, like we're riding high, like our mood is high. The secret is to realize it's weather. Just like you wake up one day and it's sunny, you wake up another day and it's cloudy, and you roll with it.
Yeah.
You realize tomorrow's a new day and the weather will be different.
I absolutely concur. Was concur a word?
Yep. And you used it correctly.
Anyway,
And as I told Martha last week, because we were talking with Martha, we were talking about you make progress forward and then it feels like you take twice as many steps backwards. And I
yeah.
said, if you've ever seen
Who?
parkour, it's a sport that people do.
Oh, I thought you said park whore.
Parkour. My
Okay.
son is all into it. Like he's pretends he jumps around those sofas saying, I'm parkour, I'm doing parkour. I'm like, okay, just be safe. But they do these crazy jumps that you and I would like, we're not going to try that. That's crazy. But sometimes, in order to make a larger jump, you have to go backwards further so you can get the momentum to make the leap.
Right. That makes sense.
That was a download. That was like letting the clouds clear.
You're awesome, Sean. And everybody should take the time to just not just show up, but to listen.
I
And I
appreciate you,
hear
bro.
you. I hear you when you speak to me. And I remember it. And those are two key things that I want you to take away.
Well, and I heard a key thing too. You don't just you listen, you hear it, and you take action from it.
I do.
That's the key.
I
Because we
do.
can listen to a lot of great teaching that inspires us, gives us an insight for a moment. But if we don't take some kind of action, what's it for?
Right. And so my action today is I'm now going to go to the grocery store. Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
And you have
Be
a wonderful
blessed.
day.
You too, and an awesome week.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Sun always rises. And
It does.
Bobby, I see you joined there. Thank you for joining. We'll see you, Bill.
All right.
Take care. Big hugs and love. All right. Bobby, glad to see you. Definitely want to catch the replay. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And I will see you all next week with our next topic. As I've said before, drop a comment here, send me a message like, hey, Sean, what about? And bring me your ideas. I'm open to hearing ideas. What do you guys want to hear about? What do you guys want to learn? Yes, Michael. Exactly. Or going back to basics. Yes. Like one of the great football coaches took his team back to the basics. All right. So I've got a special treat today. Hopefully it's going to work. So I took my outro song and created a video. So let's roll.
In the shadow of a mirror, where the past holds tight, he walks in with fire, igniting the night. A truth seeker's vision, he shines through the black. With every step forward, he won't look back. Telling tales